All right, so any of you who took the time to listen to that whole conversation with Jay, um, yeah, you realize there's a bit more going on here. Now, that was something that I was digging deep on before Natalie was killed. Well, actually, before Natalie and I even became friends. Cops were always trying to slip something on me, trying to push something on me. They knew what I was doing. I was speaking out on my Facebook. Of course, people don't really listen to the homeless now, do they? We ain't human to you. Meanwhile, I want you to take a real good solid look at what you guys been saying about the homeless, how they're all a bunch of junkies. A lot of these people live in houses. A lot of them. A lot of the people I recorded on here, they live in houses. Train. You listen to the conversations between me and Ryan and Ingersoll, you realize, yeah, the cops, they were completely out of line in what they did in Wyoming. They were trying to cover up for the wrongdoing of other cops. Now, the most important thing for them, they can't shoot me. They can't just outright kill me. Um, they had to take all of this stuff that they've been trying to make me sound crazy about and take it from the realm of fantasy and put it right square in their lap as a murder case. They can't have that. See, if the FBI actually starts investigating any of this shit, a lot of cops are going to go down because the serious nature of the issues, because of the shit that they're already in trouble for. Because I speak out, if I end up dead, it lends ear to all the shit that I've been saying. And it's obvious to pretty much everybody, especially looking at a lot of the stuff that's been happening recently with teachers, preachers, cops, lawyers, judges, all getting popped with the shit I've been talking about. In a lot of these cases, specifically the ones I was talking about, specifically the ones that I was turning in, a lot of these departments I've been talking about, the shit I've been telling you they've been doing. You guys want to call me a liar, say that I'm paranoid, say I'm making this shit up. Then what happens? A few weeks down the road, you get to see some stuff on the news about these cops doing exactly what it is I was saying they were doing to begin with. But you still want to call me a liar. You still want to call me mentally ill. You still want to pretend I'm schizophrenic. Nah, Chris is schizophrenic. Zach Boatman, that guy is schizophrenic. Now, you guys want to tell me about good cops. Now, there's all these good cops, and they're just a few dirty apples. They're just a few bad apples. Nah. That ain't the case at all, homie. See, for every one of these officers that gets busted, that officer, some of these officers been on, 20 years or more, some of them? Just now getting busted for rape? Just now getting busted for doing crooked shit? Just now getting busted for planting evidence? And what do they get for that? They get a slap on the fucking wrist. These are actual fucking dangerous goddamn criminals. And they getting a slap on the fucking wrist. In most cases, getting to even keep their fucking jobs. Now, you guys listen to the conversations between me and Rihanna. You realize not only was I telling the truth about the situation in Wyoming and the situation with the police there, but also I was telling the truth about Amy Spencer aka Amy Kalina Kingery. You listen to the conversations with Jay, you realize I've been telling the truth about Ken Wilson and Leah Plunkett. You look at what Ted Bollinger's been up to. We ain't talking about a squirt gun filled with jalapeno juice. We're not talking about a homemade pepper spray for defending myself against the people who are assaulting me. What we're talking about is a man who was busted with actual drugs. We ain't talking about fucking smoking pot. All right, we're talking about methamphetamines. We're talking about heroin. And yeah, he got busted with pot too. But that don't make no goddamn difference to me. Yeah, internal possession is against the law in Kansas. And that's where he got popped. With his daughter Alicia, the addict. Now she's pretty, so I can't call her a junkie or I'm a bad person. Now if she was fat and ugly, oh yeah, I could call her a junkie. You guys be like, yeah, that fucking junkie bitch. But she's not. She's pretty. So you let her get away with whatever the fuck you want. You want to hit that, don't you? You want to tap that ass, don't you? That's what it all comes down to, don't it, Braxton? Don't it? You sick motherfuckers. Meanwhile, you know, a lot of people like Mandy Hughes had all these conspiracy theories, like Ted Bollinger might have been involved with the police. Probably was. He probably was. You listen to that conversation with Jay, you realize there's a lot going on between the police and the homeless. Stuff I've been speaking out about for years, but you guys don't want to listen. Nobody wants to listen to the homeless person. Nobody wants to listen to the ugly dude. Well, you guys made every excuse to harm me. The real predators are wearing fucking badges. Ted Bollinger is the real fucking predator. Why do they keep letting him go? Because he's got some hands and some fucking pockets, bitch. Alicia Bollinger belongs in prison. That ain't no joke. Belongs in prison. She's a criminal. She's criminal minded. You guys want me to just shut my damn mouth? Hell no. Now, there's all this conspiracy theory shit, but really, when it comes down to it, it's not some big, massive fucking conspiracy. It's a bunch of crooked motherfuckers trying to cover for some crooked motherfuckers. Why are they some crooked motherfuckers? Because they're covering for crooked motherfuckers. These officers elsewhere in the United States, do you really think that these other officers who did this fucked up shit were calling all these other officers and saying, hey man, this dude's this, and this dude's that, and this guy's this, and this guy's that? No, they're not. They don't have to. All they had to do was charge me with assault against a police officer, and these other officers are going to do that shit on their own. They're going to go, oh, this guy assaults police officers. My guilt is automatically assumed. Meanwhile, those charges were dropped because I did not assault those officers. But you motherfuckers want to play stupid because it ain't happening to you. Now let's look up and down this here line. Ken and Leah Plunkett, drug dealers, live in houses. Brett Roloff, got a roof over his head too, drug dealer. Same thing with Todd. Now, as I hear it, Todd's cleaned his act up again. He cleaned it up right before Natalie was killed. He was quitting. He was done with the game. He got back in to try to find Natalie's killer with me. You guys listen to that conversation with me and him? Yeah. So here's the thing. I don't want to live anymore. I don't. There are so many people that claim that they love me, claim that they cared. Then they turned into little bitches and folded. For me, I got to find a way to show the public what's going on. I got to find a way to force them to look at this evidence. Right now, there's some stuff I'm not able to do that I'd like to do. It's not just because the dude who lives here is here. We got one room that's got heated, and he's utilizing it right now. He's watching TV and listening to his streaming videos. I can't exactly be interrupting his lifestyle every day, or it's gonna drive him nuts. I've seen how other people interact with him, and yeah, he gets how I expect him to get. The reason he don't get like that with me is because I'm pretty quiet. I stay to myself. I sit in the corner and I do my own thing. I don't make noises. I don't make waves. He also ain't able to help me. He don't know much about computers. He is afraid to get on the stand. Stuff like that. But the thing is, with as much as I spoke out about the border police, the first thing they needed to do was to shut me up and make me look like a violent criminal. That's the first thing they needed to do to protect their own ass, to protect their own. Yeah, these cops are involved in child trafficking, human trafficking, not just children, but adults as well. These motherfuckers enforce immoral laws. Meanwhile, these motherfuckers break laws that are supposed to protect us from the police. Them body cameras, that's pretty goddamn important now, ain't it? Right now, what I'd like to be doing is using this here phone, going through a bunch of the evidence that's on here. Taking some screenshots of that shit, posting it up right here on YouTube for the whole world to see. My fingers are a little fucking cold for that. I'm used to people getting a hold of me and threatening my life and shit like that. I'm used to people getting a hold of me to harass me. Every time they do, it strengthens my resolve. Somebody got to do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. Sometimes you got to fight fire with fire. When that bullshit with Natalie first went down, I was nice to them about it. I spoke to them nicely. I asked them nicely. Now, I had to basically take a crash course in all of this computer shit because I didn't know how to do it before Natalie was killed. I was trying to get help, but shit, people just didn't have time. Drugs were more important. Alcohol was more important. Their own fucking opinion was more important. Meanwhile, if your opinion is based on ignorance, your opinion don't fucking matter. You need to get a goddamn education. I deal with a lot of that here in Chapel, Nebraska. Folks here who've never met a black person want to talk about how blacks and Mexicans are ruining their lives. Meanwhile, they're getting drunk every goddamn night. Every night talking about how blacks and Mexicans are the reason they're always fucking broke. Meanwhile, we got crooked fucking cops in Boulder, Colorado, Thornton, Colorado, Broomfield, Colorado, Denver, Colorado. And you guys, some of you might remember 5 Points down in Denver when it was still dirty. Some of you might remember 5 Points now, all cleaned up and fucking fancy schmancy. It's actually a pretty good neighborhood by comparison. Wasn't always that way. Now the cops did this fucked up shit to me. They did it because of things that I was never allowed to defend myself against, and my public pretenders wouldn't do their goddamn jobs. There's all these places I'm supposed to get a hold of, and every one of these places I gotta call a different fucking place. For this public pretender being crooked, I gotta get a hold of this place. For this public pretender being crooked, I gotta go to this place. Meanwhile, they made sure to cover their asses by making sure that I had warrants. Making sure that I had warrants. Meanwhile, there's people like Pamela Carty. She's friends with Zoe Tanner. She's friends with Amanda Balehash. These people were working for the prosecution. These people are fucking crooked. And you guys want to be pissed off at me because after all of that time of being abused, being harassed, being threatened, you can see plain and fucking simple that Natalie and I were friends. Alicia and I were friends. While I was supposedly stalking Natalie Bollinger, she was insisting on seeing me. Who was it that got into that vehicle in Chesapeake, Virginia with that alcoholic? That's right, that was Natalie. That was Natalie who got into that vehicle. Was that me driving that vehicle? Fuck no. But I'm gonna say it like it is. If that fat, ugly girl's a junkie, Alicia Bollinger's a junkie too. Now, we all know that pretty girls bat their eyes and do that whole bullshit. Most of the pretty girls I know are narcissistic as fuck. They're in love with themselves. Hundreds of selfies, they just want to get them likes. They just want to get them likes. Where Natalie Bollinger would post up a selfie. I posted up a selfie because people requested it. I got 18 likes. Natalie Bollinger posts one up. She gets over 400 of them. You think that's a lot? Shit. Her sister Alicia posts one up and she gets over 1,000. It's all about looks, popularity. She must be right because you want to fuck her. Meanwhile, you guys want to pretend I'm the fucking druggie. You guys want to pretend I'm the dealer. You want to pretend I'm the child molester and I'm the killer. Amy Spencer, shit. She called me a fucking murderer. They caught Natalie's killer. Now, there's people like Mandy Hughes that think that Natalie's death had something to do with her dad. And maybe even the police. Probably did. But that, for me, is in the realm of tinfoil fucking hats. The reason for that is because motivations are pretty fucking simple. Greed and lust. You know, with the whole DNA bullshit, that's the reason they were wanting to keep me in Colorado. Danica Gardner and I were having conversations about that. They were just waiting on the DNA to come back. Why were they looking for DNA? Good question. Was she raped? Did she put up a fight? If she put up a fight, got some skin cells under her fingernails, well, yeah, that's a different story altogether. In that particular case, that whole story about the Craigslist ad goes right out the window, don't it? Same thing if she was raped, don't it? So where was this DNA that they collected? Where did they find that DNA? It's important, ain't it? Now, because the shit that she slandered me with, she didn't write down the dates or times or any of that when some of this stuff happened. Because some of it did happen. I did stay behind. Well, all right, it wasn't Natalie's work. It was Alicia's work in Chesapeake, Virginia, at her request. And obviously, at the time that I was staying behind her work, you can see the conversations that we were having. You can see the pictures that I took. Yeah, we were not only friends, not only was I not stalking them, they were trying to get me a job at Vico Construction. What's Vico Construction? That's on South Military Highway as well. That's the same street that Natalie's mama lives on. That's where Natalie's mama worked at the time. Now we got this situation with Shelly Campbell, and Danica Garner. They're friends, playing nice, but up to some pretty fucked up bullshit. They wanted to harm me and slander me over and over and over. Now, I got lucky with Shannon Alvarado. Yeah, she's a fucking alcoholic, and it takes her fucking months to put two and two together. I mean, shit, her brain is fucking mush. But she got a good heart. She just dumb as a fucking stump. That ain't my fault. I mean, I'd have to explain something to her 20 times easily. She still wouldn't fucking get it. She wouldn't fucking remember it 30 seconds later. That's how bad her memory is. Is that from getting beaten? No, it's from alcohol. It's from substance abuse. But she let me know what Kara Johnson Miles was up to. God damn, that was a fucking stab in the ass, wasn't it? Right after Joseph Michael Lopez, that court date that I went to, where Ted Bollinger was screaming and hooting and hollering all that shit. Here's a dude who fucked his own daughters. Fucked his own daughters. Screaming about how I'm a child molester in a courtroom. He was the one screaming. And who is it that was getting slandered on these Facebook groups like he was the one doing that shit? That's right, it's me. Ted Bollinger's a fucking bitch. Straight up. Yeah, I'm afraid of a lot of these people, but you know what? I know what happens if I don't speak up. Nothing changes. Nothing changes. And that ain't acceptable. Not by a fucking long shot. And we got crooked cops there in Colorado, like Keith Steinman, who's no longer a police officer, thank goodness. We got Abel Ramos, who's a good man, but he's still a cop. See, crooked cops go through and they roll through and they let the actual criminals go. And then what do? They arrest the people that are easiest to victimize, those who they can call mentally ill. They go, see, we're doing something about the crime. No, you're fucking locking up innocent people. You are instigating. A lot of these cops come up, they tell us, they call our friends froze to death. They call them bumsicles. Officer Keith Steinman, good example. And then we ain't allowed to say nothing or we get arrested for use of fighting words. Meanwhile, these fucking Piggly Wigglies keep turning off their body cameras. Oh, it's broken, it's broken. Shit, bitch. Ain't nobody dumb enough to believe that shit, Steinman. You crooked as crooked comes. Now I'm waiting for the news to talk about 3 specific judges. Judges involved in Nancy Stopka's case. Judges involved in Michelle Rodriguez's case. Judges involved in Ogre's case. His real name is Christopher Weaver. Selling these children to the highest bidder. Children of poor folk. And then they do everything in their power to make it so expensive for these poor folk to jump through these hoops. These poor folk end up homeless. And then they use that against them. Oh, look, he ain't doing nothing. He ain't got a job. He ain't this. He ain't that. Shit, Ogre lost his job for jumping through them goddamn hoops. He didn't have any money because he was jumping through them goddamn hoops. Now, why is it that if this stuff is actually true, why is it that they ain't killed me like they did to that feller in the prisons there over on the East Coast? Y'all remember that guy's name, or are you too busy worrying about the coronavirus? What was that guy's name? Can you remember? I mean, this guy was murdered in a prison, had his neck broken. Magically, the evidence, the body cameras, the films in that fucking jail, they're gone. Wiped clean. Just like they did in my case. But then again, if they kill me after as public as I've been about all this shit, people are actually going to start looking at this stuff, looking at the things that I've been saying, looking at the shit that I've been through and going, holy fuck, this guy was telling the truth. They're going to listen to them conversations with Rihanna and go, holy fuck, we should have listened to this guy to begin with. They're going to be trying to get a hold of people that are still friends with me so they can go through my Facebook and see what it is that I said before Natalie died, before I became friends with Natalie, all the way back to the beginning of my fucking Facebook. Yeah, a lot of the times and dates are wrong, but the events happened and they're documented on my Facebook. Goddamn right. Having to fight fire with fire. Well, had to prove it somehow that it's all right for them and it ain't all right for me. Had to prove somehow that this jurisdictional bullshit that they kept making excuses about ain't real. All that jurisdictional bullshit that they was throwing at me. None of that made any difference when it come to the Bollingers, did it? None of it made any goddamn difference when it came to my court dates, did it? Fuck no, it didn't. When it all comes down to it, you motherfuckers are just pissed off that I speak out. A lot of these people fucking bitching about showing evidence. Why don't you prove it? Why don't you show us some evidence? Shit, bitch, go back through my fucking YouTube here. Those of you lucky enough to still be on my Facebook, go back and look through that shit. You realize I've been telling the truth. I turned into a mean son of a bitch because I had to. Mandy Hughes let me know how scared she was of Ted Bollinger. Yeah, she should be. But she should be more afraid of the police. Candace Bondurant didn't know to be afraid of the police. Then, when the police showed up when she was taking her kid to school, she had to be worried about her kids. When that same officer came to where she worked and harassed her there, she had to worry about her job. She had to worry about this public opinion. You say you shouldn't care about what other people think. Candace sure as fuck did. Didn't she? You goddamn right she did. But she didn't have to deal with 1/1000th of what I've had to go through. They didn't drag her off. They didn't inject her with fucking drugs. Then again, it ain't Candace's life on the line, is it? It ain't her kid's life on the line, is it? No, it's people that she don't fucking care about because she's busy making excuses because she never had to live it. She never had to live that life because she got mommy and daddy to help. And sure, her life ain't perfect. Her real dad ain't a part of her life. But Rick Dale's been good to her. Her mom's been real fucking good to her. If Candace fucks up, Lori's one of them mamas who's gonna fucking stick up for her even though she's the one that fucked up. Then we got people like Jamie Curtis, who knows she can manipulate men because she's pretty. And it didn't work on me, which is why she had to use her son to do that. That's fucking dirty. That's a low fucking blow, Jamie. Then again, she was trying to hide the fact that she was going back out with James after telling me how scared she was for her son living with James. After I turned around from Missouri, drove all the way back, spent all the money that I had, all the money that I had for Virginia. I spent all of that going back to rescue Jamie. And while I was there, I was trying to convince her to call the cops. Hey, if he fucking did this shit, you need to fucking turn him in. Or he's gonna get away with it. That's gonna let him know that it's okay. That's how it's gonna translate in his mind, and he's gonna do it to somebody else. There's lots of people ain't never been through it. I call these people fucking pampered. Now, I got a lot of physical disabilities prevent me from being able to do a lot of the stuff y'all want me to do. I got plenty of paperwork here to show it. There's a lot of stuff I ain't able to do. I'm not a computer dude. Shit, I couldn't even fucking use my YouTube here until Amanda Ingline showed me how to use it. Amanda Ingline, she's a good mom. She really is. Candace Bonderon, aka Candace Dale, she's a good mom too. But they sure as shit don't know the life. For Amanda Ingline, she was a prostitute just to make extra money and because she likes sex. And there's quite a few people that already knew about that. I mean, it wasn't no big fucking secret to them when I told them she was a prostitute. They're like, oh, dude, the people who know her already knew that. They already knew she was selling her body for meth here in Chapel. I mean, shit. Lots of girls did that. Drake Chambers had the meth. So, well, Drake Chambers and a guy named Alan Bain. Jamie, she used to complain that she had to shake her titties for Alan Bain. Now, Alan Bain is bisexual. He likes men and women. Jackie McKenzie, that's where she got her meth. Drake Chambers, that's where he got his meth. And we got lots of Midwest farm girls here, all addicted to meth. Drake Chambers got them started on most of that. A lot of them had crushes on him because he's got pretty eyes and long eyelashes. Real girly looking boy. Him and my little brother decided they were going to attack me once. Drake Chambers didn't grow up in the system getting his ass whooped for being the wrong goddamn color. Neither did my little brother. When me and my older brother went into the system because mom couldn't keep us because she wouldn't stay off the cocaine, our dad was in prison. Tara's dad was never a part of her life, but my stepdad Scott took her in. My little brother Michael, his dad took him in. That guy's name is Larry Albert. Paints houses for a living. At least it's real work, right? You don't need a brain to paint houses, which is good for Michael because he's dumb as a fucking stump. There's lots of women who know about how fucked up my little brother was mentally and physically. I don't mean like physically disabled. I mean mentally, he's a fucking sexual predator. Always been that way. Got the conversation on here with Nicole where she talks about that. I believe there's one on here with Rihanna where she talks about that. Caroline, same thing. What's this all got to do with crooked cops? Well, it all comes down to motivation. If you're gonna listen to Alicia Bollinger, she's small, she's puny. She's also pretty. She uses that to her advantage. She uses that to manipulate. And it's all right because she's pretty, because she's a girl. That's what we teach girls in the United States, how to manipulate, how to convince others to do fucked up shit for you. Oh, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. It was him. It was him. It was him. I didn't do it. It was Tim Beeson. I didn't do it. It was Derek Apodaca. Yeah. Meanwhile, the only reason she's getting away with it is because of her looks. If she looked like Tori Young used to be real pretty when she was younger. And she's a mom now, you know. She's also an addict. She got pock marks all over her face from fucking picking her face off. She got sunk in cheeks. She's real frail looking. Same thing with Christine Buhit. Picking her face off. fucked up on meth, addicted to heroin too. Same people. They know the same people. They know all the same people I do. I stayed away from them drugs, though. I tried to help people out, put myself at risk every fucking day to keep them people safe. When the predators come down looking for them, who was it they went and hid behind? It was always me, or my older brother, or Mobley. And at one point in time, they hid behind Christopher Tapp, too. Now, Christopher Tapp, he was always a jackass to his wife. Her name was Tammy Mensher. Always a jackass to her. Talked down to her like she was an animal, like she was a dog. Got drunk all the damn time. Fucking yelled at her. He didn't hit her, but he was pretty goddamn verbally abusive. I'm verbally abusive now, too. If you're gonna be verbally abusive to me, I'll be verbally abusive back. Ain't no issue with that. But the thing is, a lot of these people are high risk. They're at high risk for victimization, and the police make them even more so. There are 5 hate crimes against the homeless for every 1 hate crime committed against all other groups combined. I want you to put that in your fucking head. 3/4 of homeless people are not addicts. 3/4 of homeless people are not on fucking drugs or alcohol. Get that through your fucking head. We got a higher percentage of drug addicts and alcoholics living in houses. We're looking at 33% nationwide. So there are less addicts on the streets than there are likely to be in your own household. But you don't want to hear that, do you? You just need somebody to hate. You can't hate black people anymore. It's against the law. It's not socially acceptable. The news will be all over your ass if you do that. The homeless are the only people it's acceptable to be like that towards anymore. You can't even be like that towards immigrants anymore. It's illegal. But if that immigrant or that black person happens to be homeless, by all means, it's okay. The news is on your side. The police are on your side. When them racist cops realized they couldn't go beating black people just for being black anymore, well, that's even more punishment for the homeless. And that 5-to-1 ratio of those hate crimes, that doesn't even include police interaction. If you homeless and you try to turn in a police officer, nobody's going to take your fucking report. They tell you got to come in person. You come in person, and they fucking hang you. They turn off their body cameras and fucking slander you and fucking lie outright. Lock you up, prevent you from going to court dates. And the public pretenders are right there with them. These people are friends with each other. They're friends with each other, especially in places like Boulder County, Adams County, Arapahoe County. Now, are these police officers, did these police call up Michael Beard in Haxton, Colorado, and have him involved with some fucked up shit? Absolutely they did. There is no other way that could have happened the way it happened there. Absolutely, those police and Rochelle Shelley Campbell were working together. There is no other way that that would have happened. But how about Washington State? Were they calling those cops from Washington State? Probably not. They didn't have to. It already said felony assault against a police officer on my arrest record. Despite the fact that the charges were dropped, that's still on my arrest record, and every police officer that runs my name is going to see that. Here in Chapel, the cops got to kind of mind their P's and Q's and walk on eggshells to some degree. Because contrary to popular belief, I do have some support in this town. There's a lot of people that don't like me because of the slander. There's also people that come up and talk to me. They say, "Hey, man, fucking, I'm too afraid to come forward, but fucking, you come to me if you need anything." Well, shit. What I need is for you to come forward. Rose Melvin, I recorded her talking about when Jim Hayes beat the shit out of a homeless dude. And when I got into that fight with Zach Metcalf in high school over Kim Jepsen and the picture of Justine's butt. Good story, by the way. It's Justine Martindale. Zach Metcalf thought he was going to get physical with me and there was going to be no retaliation because he was twice my size. He'd never been in a fight before, though, and I had. That was before I fucked up my back. That was when I was younger, full of piss and vinegar. I just wanted to be left the fuck alone. But at the same time, Brandon Jepsen, and mind you, the conversations with Terry Jepsen are on this channel too, about Michael McBee, the son of the Haxton Sheriff Department at the time, yanking Kim Jepsen out of the vehicle by her hair. Goddamn right I was pissed off about that. Brandon Jepsen was my best friend at the time. You know, the two people most likely to be spousal abusers are police officers and soldiers. I want you to get that through your head first and foremost. I want you to get that through your thick head. It's all right for you to beat your wife if you're killing foreign kids, right? It's all right for you to beat your wife if you're killing black kids, right? It's all right to beat your wife if you're beating homeless people to death, right? You got no idea how many homeless people were beaten to death in Boulder, Colorado, and it was swept under the rug. And a good portion of those were probably perpetrated by police. People are too afraid to stand up to the police. Candace Bondurant folded fucking quick, fast, in a hurry, didn't she? Goddamn right she did. Now, one of the things I got to go through and collect for y'all on YouTube that's on my Facebook is messages from that flip phone. Now, Mike Boudet, he didn't bother to find out if his information is correct or not. He just wanted to spin a story as best he could to make me look like a bad guy, like I was some sort of a terrible fucking monster. And that worked out to the police's favor. That worked out to the Bollingers' favor. But then again, Ted's the one that got busted after his daughter's death. This guy's a felon. This is a dude who fucked his own daughters. Sorry. You listen to the conversations with Samantha D and I, and the conversations with Bobby Forrest and I. Yeah. I ain't the only one that knows about it. I ain't the only one that was told about it. Now that flip phone, Mike Boudet, Sword and Scale, wanted to pretend like the police took my flip phone. No, they didn't. I had to go to Ken and Leah's to try to search for my flip phone. I went there with Kayla Trujillo's brother, Gilbert. And if it hadn't been for Gilbert going with me, Ken and Leah would not have been as decent as they were. Thank goodness for Gilbert going with me. Now, there's a lot of people who know how corrupt the police are, and they're fucking scared shitless for a reason. Todd Ryan Case. He went through the same mentally ill treatment that I did. Crystal Beauchamp went through it too after trying to turn in a Boulder police officer for raping her, and she never came back from it. Mentally, she never recovered from that. Those drugs are fucking serious, especially in the doses and quantities that they're giving you and the combinations that they're giving you. It can literally kill you, and it did. It killed Tiber Hatay, now didn't it? That dude's dead as a fucking doornail. He's in the ground right now. because Clearview Behavioral Health, the place that I went to, that I tried turning in for how they treated me, for the fact that they kept me longer than they should have, for the fact that they wouldn't allow me to speak to a police officer, for the fact that they assaulted me and drugged me while I was calm by their own admission. I was only calm externally. Inside, I was scared shitless. I knew what was up. And then they put them drugs in me. Them very same drugs that killed Tibor Hatay. Those very same drugs that they knew morally it was wrong to put those in me. And then they wanted to laugh about it. Laugh about it. I want you to think about that for a moment. These people laughed about it. Now, I've tried to download that video from that hospital. You can see that they dragged me off camera. First of all, they start the camera halfway through. Halfway through it. They don't start the camera rolling until after the assault. After they have literally already assaulted me, that's when they start the camera rolling. And then they drag me far enough that the upper half of my body is off screen and they can do whatever they fucking want. You can see that very same woman who was in that video talking about how terrible Clearview is. That very same woman thought it was hilarious. Her and Mr. Manbun both thought it was hilarious that I was still trying to get the police after being assaulted and after being drugged. And of course, I got them drugs in me. My mind ain't fucking working right, and they're fucking laughing. Yeah, you can see me pull a Superman maneuver. I flew across. First, I'm off screen because I'm over at the door screaming for a fucking police officer to show up. And then you see me slam right against Mr. fucking Man Bun by his fucking man bun. What a fucking punk ass little bitch. The thing is that the assault started prior to that. But the DA didn't allow that in, did he? Clearview wasn't going to show that, were they? Meanwhile, they were trying to tell me the whole time that the doctor ordered me to be drugged. Chemical restraint is what they call it. I didn't need to be drugged. I needed the cops to look at the fucking evidence I had to show. Then again, I was also trying to do the same thing at a Vista hospital. They did the same thing to me. Now they told me that I was voluntarily there. I said, well, if I'm voluntarily here, then I can leave. So they slammed me to the floor and put drugs in me. Now, the whole time I was there, I was trying to speak to the police. The whole fucking time. I even called 911 from that hospital in Avista. So they took my phone away. Said it's a felony to call 911 from inside of a hospital. Goddamn right I speak out. This ain't some conspiracy theory tinfoil hat bullshit. Now, granted, there is a very good chance that Ted Bollinger is in bed with these fucking rotten police officers. There's a very good chance of that. I mean, there is more pointing to that than to the contrary. But at the same time, their motivations are simple. And if you stick with their simple motivations, you can show what the fuck is going on. You don't have to go off on some tinfoil tangent that may or may not be true. Stick with what you can prove. The fact is, the police do enough rotten shit that they cannot be allowed to handle their own evidence. They cannot be allowed to handle their own cameras, and neither can Clearview. Clearview cannot be allowed to handle their own cameras. Those cameras need to be on at all points in time. They need to have volume on there. They say that they don't have it for our safety. No, it's for theirs. And so the institutions they work for don't get sued when they pull fucked up shit. the fact is, if those people are working there and they know that they're being video and audio recorded, they're going to be a lot more likely to be straight, cut, clean, and narrow, ain't they? Everything was done to prevent me from filing a report against these motherfuckers. Everything was done everywhere that I went to prevent me from showing evidence. Jurisdiction only matters one way. The police, they can show manufactured bullshit and slander from all over the United States. I mean, the slander that they had in my courtroom, fucking bullshit in Arapahoe County, it came from Texas, it came from Arapahoe County, it came from Adams County, it came from Boulder, Colorado, it came from all over the place. Slander that I was not allowed to defend myself against. Hell, Kara Johnson Miles even tried claiming, first of all, that she was Natalie's mom's best friend. No, she ain't. She's friends with one of Natalie's ex-stepmothers, a drug addict. She's one of these web sleuth fucking wingnuts, like Mike Boudet. God damn, people are fucking dumb. But I'm not worth listening to because I don't have $1 million sex ranch. You know, that dude who died, what was his name again? There's a possibility that we could have lost some presidents to prison for being child molesters. And that dude was killed. Now, I can't reach that far up the ladder. If they listen to me, they're going to take just as many people down. They take down child molesters like Rebecca Klang, who molested her own sister. Think on that for a minute. Take down people like Ted Bollinger, who raped his own daughters. Take down Andrew Witcher, meth addict. Did what to his stepdaughter? Goddamn right he did. Not only that, but that's obviously been happening in that household. Because Amy's son, I had to separate him from the girls while I was babysitting because he couldn't keep his hands to himself. Obviously, at his age, at that point in time, yeah, he doesn't have sexual urges. It's monkey see, monkey do. He learned that from somewhere. Where did he learn it from? He didn't learn that as a baby. He didn't learn that as an infant. He learned that from adults in his life or from children in his life who had to experience that from adults in their life. Goddamn right I speak out. And a lot of these officers that involved in the human trafficking, I may not know all of the officers' names, but I know some of their victims. I know Desiree, Nancy Stopka's kids. What about them? What about Mariah Johnson? What about these people? I literally had to break the law for the safety not only of myself, but of many others, including Amy Kalina Kingery's kids. And those kids are fucking rotten. Rotten kids. But they're still kids. They act that way because that's what they grew up with. That's what they know. Now, those of you who saw that between me and Alicia Bollinger, that tattoo kit, that's the tattoo kit that me and Marianna were talking about. The tattoo equipment that Amy Kalina Kingery was going to pay me to use. Did she ever pay me? No. She pretends it didn't exist. But I just have to take it. I just have to take it. If I had not been illegally prevented from filing reports against those officers, they wouldn't have been able to do the things that they did. If I'd have been allowed to file reports when I went in to Joseph Michael Lopez court date, if I had been allowed to file reports about the things that happened on the 29th of December of 2017, Officer Burke would never been allowed to assault me in Longmont, which is where he was transferred to when he got busted pulling some illegal shit. He moved to a different jurisdiction, and magically, his illegal actions are forgiven, just like Waylon Lolatai. Who are your children really at risk from? Who really represents a public safety risk? Is it me with a jalapeno juice gun for protecting myself in a non lethal fashion? Or is it Ted Bollinger, who's got a loaded fucking firearm with a history of being an actual violent predator? Is it me who smokes marijuana upon occasion? Or is it Ted Bollinger who gets fucked up on drugs, has his daughters selling it when they're underage, and sells his daughters to pay off his debt for those very drugs that he's having them sell down at the Boulder Public Library? You goddamn right. Somebody has to speak out. Somebody has to think about the safety of people like Luna and Little Ted and Alicia, Candace's daughters, Jamie's son. Who is it that's thinking about these children while these parents are being selfish? Who is it that is doing their best to keep these children safe while these parents are being selfish? That's right, it's me. Because I don't want these kids going through what I went through growing up. Who is it that was worried about Amy Kalina Kingery's daughters while I was there? I had to make a decision. Are these kids better off here with me and Rihanna? Or are they better off in the system? Meanwhile, Amy could have picked her daughters up 2 months ago and still hasn't. The best resource you got for getting rid of these predators is the homeless. I was able to do things that none of y'all could do because you got kids, but I don't, so I don't have to worry about losing them. I was able to do things that the police weren't able to do because I was in good with certain people. The criminal element. Now, don't get me wrong, most of the police are actually the criminal element. But also, you see how freely a lot of these so called criminals are with me. Drug dealers and the like, how freely they speak to me. Now, most of them are burned bridges. Most of them. There's a reason for that. You don't talk to the police. When it comes to finding missing people, you do that without the police. You go out there and you do the fucking footwork. Police ain't gonna do shit except take the credit. When it comes to getting rid of child molesters in Boulder, Colorado, who was it that was doing that? That was me. That was Rabbit. That was Nicholas Romero. Most of y'all don't know who Nicholas Romero is. He's not a bad dude, but because of the slander against me, he wants to be a fucking punk ass little bitch. He lives here in Nebraska. And yeah, I could go find him. I could go hunt him down like a dog and take care of business for him slandering my name, for him being a little bitch. But the fact is, I recognize what he did in Boulder, Colorado. And despite the fact that he turned bitch, he still did a lot of good. My fingers are cold as fuck. I'm gonna turn off this video and go back downstairs. Hopefully it'll warm up a little bit in the next day or two. I'll be able to get back to work. I'll get back to showing business as usual. Saving lives is pretty fucking important. Now, y'all, don't take my word for it. Them conversations with witnesses are in here. Now, there are a lot of witnesses, well, a few witnesses that knew they were being recorded. And, well, their testimony ain't as honest as it could be. Like Laura Nelson, yeah, she knew she was being recorded. I got a few recordings with her that aren't on here. There's a reason they aren't on here. I'd rather show that shit in court. But then again, she got this sixth sense about when I'm recording and when I ain't. When I ain't recording, yeah, she talks quite a lot. And when I am recording, she does a and she try to do it real quiet. She don't want to be targeted. I understand. They got to be afraid for their kids. A lot of these drug dealers, you think of them as the scum of the earth. And some of them are. But some of them got some real humanity to them. You know, there's Alaska Don McNeese, and he's a piece of shit straight up. But when the Boulder police were going to murder Lucky's dog, and I do mean murder, they were instigating the fuck out of that dog and they pulled a gun on it. And you know what? It was myself and Alaska Donald McNeese who stood in front of that officer who was going to murder that fucking dog. Now, there's a lot of stuff that I can't show because they were just conversations or phone calls that I had. I mean, who records every fucking phone call that they have? If I'd have known that all of this shit was going to go down, I would have recorded every conversation that I had with Natalie. All right, that ain't true. I didn't know how. I had to learn that shit. I had to take a crash course in Facebook, crash course in YouTube, crash course in collecting evidence, a crash course in editing phone numbers out of screenshots. That's all stuff I didn't know how to do when Natalie first disappeared. In addition to that, like, fuck, I didn't have any goddamn help doing that. People were busy snapping at me, telling me how to think and how to feel, busy throwing their opinions at me, busy telling me their stories, saying that they'll help. And then I listened to them for half hour, 45 minutes, an hour, telling me stories about all sorts of other shit. Hey, motherfucker. Hey, oh, shiny, over here, over here. Hey, hey. Stop going off on every fucking thing. What we need to do is focus on this shit. If you're going to help me with this shit, fucking focus on this shit. If you're going to help me with my case, we need to focus on my case. We don't need to be focusing on some Mexican family, Peaches. I don't got nothing against Mexicans, but that's got nothing to do with my case. You don't know shit about my case because you busy talking about these Mexicans. Shannon don't know shit about my case because she's busy talking about her ex-husband. She's busy talking about her friend Marnie. She's busy talking about her friend Jay. She's busy talking about all these people. But she ain't listening to me, is she? So then she's regurgitating shit, some of it over a year after I first told her about it. Like, did you know? Did you know that Kara Miles was friends with Shelly Campbell? Yes, I fucking did. I told you that. That's all over my fucking YouTube. All over my fucking YouTube. All over my Facebook. For months and months and months and months and months. If I'd have been able to get a court date against Ted Bollinger and show the shit that Ted was doing and his family was doing, you don't like the fact that I spoke out in public. You don't. I get it. Whenever I'd show evidence of what these people were doing, people are going out of their way to call it spam until it disappears. That ain't gonna stop me. I already took screenshots of that shit, bitch. Already took screenshots of that shit. Ted Bollinger, you can't fucking hide forever. You raped your fucking daughters, you sick piece of shit. And the cops covered for you. God damn, that's nasty. That don't show much good for the cops, does it? That's a tarnished fucking record for them bitches, ain't it? I dare you to kill me. Tim Beeson, I dare you to keep your word to fucking put me in the ground. I dare you. Tim Beeson, come get me, bitch boy. Ted Bollinger, come get me, bitch boy. And my grandma's funeral, when the cops again didn't do their fucking job here in Chapel, Nebraska. Now, some of you, after I admitted that, yeah, obviously it couldn't have been Jordan Anderson in those encounters before Natalie was killed. Well, the fact is that video with Jordan Anderson is not disputable. That is absolutely Jordan Anderson. He actually uses his name in that video. And I did recognize him. At least one of those situations may have been him. But the fact that it couldn't have been him in the situation when I was taken to the hospital here in Sydney. Well, what officers was it? That just shows that there's more officers that were doing that shit. It wasn't just Jordan Anderson. It wasn't just Cody Selhorst. It wasn't just Scott DaCosta. It wasn't just Jared Hahn. Lazy fucking cops. Like Deputy Holloway said about human nature. That video's on here too. Fucking punk ass bitches.